Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Natasha Kirchak here with INT'L's Morning Briefing.
Israel is beefing up security in Jerusalem less than 24 hours after an Israeli guard was stabbed by a Palestinian terrorist outside the city's central bus station. Tensions in the Holy City have been mounting ever since President Trump officially recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. And clearly, the state isn't taking any chances. As you can see, Israeli police have been stationed throughout the city, especially focused on those hotspots, junctions, and gates where clashes tend to break out. It's been a few days since President Trump announced his bombshell decision to overturn decades of foreign policy by moving the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Riots in the West Bank and Gaza have been especially violent as protests against the decision continue to surge. That anger spilled over into Israel yesterday when a Palestinian man from the West Bank illegally entered Israel and stabbed an Israeli security guard in the heart. The international response to Trump's Jerusalem announcement has sparked intense outrage and even violent protests in many cases. The scene is the same in countries all over the world, including Indonesia, Morocco, Egypt, North Korea, Pakistan, Turkey, and Lebanon, where leaders and protesters alike are denouncing Trump's decision. Rallies in the Indonesian capital of Jakarta number in the thousands. Politicians there are calling for an international lobby against the U.S. to hopefully reverse Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Similar anger has reached a dangerous climax in Lebanon, where protesters actually broke down the gates of the American embassy and burned an effigy of President Trump. U.S. embassies around the world are beefing up security as rallies in Morocco, Turkey, and Pakistan heat up as well. The Israeli Prime Minister has just landed in France to speak with the French president on the peace situation, only to be greeted by a mob of angry demonstrators in Paris. It's been a few days since President Trump's now infamous speech declaring his plan to move the American embassy to Jerusalem, but clearly it's a decision that impacts the entire world. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has just met with French President Emmanuel Macron to discuss the status of Middle East peace. Macron has disapproved of President Trump's landmark recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, a claim Netanyahu has just defended on the world stage in Paris. Though Macron says he agrees with Netanyahu's words to give peace a chance, he has challenged Israel to approach the Palestinians with some kind of peace gesture. Netanyahu, for his part, immediately invited Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to one-on-one peace talks. If he wants peace, just sit down and negotiate, he told the French audience. In a strange, if not troubling twist, however, Macron has actually just joined forces with Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan, urging the United States to reverse its decision. Erdogan has just accused Israel of being a child murderer state, to which Netanyahu has replied, "What is my response? I'm not used to receiving lectures about morality from a leader who bombs Kurdish villagers in his native Turkey, who helps terrorists, including in Gaza, to kill innocent people. That is not the man who is going to lecture us." An emergency chemical attack drill has just been carried out at Israel's embassy in London in the wake of ongoing violence spurred by U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Around 50 police, firefighters, and paramedics alike took part in the exercise, which officials claim isn't actually connected to the protests taking place around the world. But the embassy says they're preparing for future violence. The preparation comes just 2 days after a failed arson attempt at a synagogue in Gothenburg, Sweden. 3 people have now been arrested for attempting to light the Jewish temple on fire with burning objects, following intense protests in the city against U.S. President Donald Trump's bombshell announcement. The Swedish Prime Minister is denouncing anti-Semitism in Swedish society, but hasn't made any statement about Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as the Israeli capital. An Israeli-American man is facing extradition to the U.S. for the alleged murder of his very own mother. 63-year-old Thomas Joseph Gross is suspected of having stabbed his 78-year-old mom Ina to death back in January of 2012. According to reports, he first gave her sleeping pills and then placed her inside of her car in Florida before killing her. The next morning, he called emergency services, claiming he had found her corpse in the garage with a knife nearby. Today, Gross lives in the Israeli city of Herzliya with his wife and daughter, but he's just been arrested by Israeli authorities. Israeli Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked has instructed state prosecutors to bring him before a district court to order his extradition to the United States. Gross maintains his innocence, and his lawyer claims that Gross had tried to resuscitate his mother and even took a lie detector test that backed up his version of the story. But the Israeli government clearly wants the U.S. to sort this case out.
That's all for now. I'm Natasha Kirchak, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.